to the topic we have at hand, that is challenges to overcome for alternative energy achievement. I feel like before we do that, we first of all need to look at the problems that we seem to be having with the current one we are using right now. So now, fingers crossed, I want to call on Engineer Adekunle Makinde, who is joining us live from Lagos, to perhaps shed some light on the reason we've not been able to achieve 24 hours electricity supply in Nigeria as at 2024.
Now, right?
Yes, I can.
Good. Now, in Nigeria, we are a little bit far away. I mean, as a nation, as by the government policy, we are still a bit far away from alternative sources of energy. So basically, what we are doing presently is what we call our primary source of energy is the fossil fuel, especially gas, which accounts for about 86% of what we are giving out, as a nation. Now, about the remaining 14% is on hydro. Basically, on 1st of November 2013, the federal government of Nigeria decided to privatize the power sector, so to say. And instead of NEPA that we used to have before, PATN, we have now 11 discos, we have now 6 GENCOs, and then we have TCN that is 100% owned by government. I'm going somewhere. Now, one of the reasons, I'm trying to lay the foundation for why we are not getting it right and why we are still having big collapses, even up to now. Now, we are having our installed capacity, what we can, say, okay, we are generating, is about 12,000 megawatts, about 12,000. And if you ask me, compared to some neighboring African countries, South Africa and so on and so forth, I will tell you that we are still very far from where we are supposed to be. Very far from where we are supposed to be. But let's even leave it at that. Now, if we are talking of 12,000, about 12,500 megawatts that we are generating, what can we actually wheel out? What can we get out of that generating position? What can we take to the transmission and then get to the distribution end? Another big issue. Out of about 12,000, it's unfortunate that we can do just about 5,000 megawatts. About 5,000. The Federal Minister of Power was saying very recently that we're going to be pushing out by, some 6 months' time, that we're going to be pushing out some 6,000 megawatts. That's some good, dream, but what do we have on ground to do that? And this is where one of the reasons why we are not getting power right for now. This is one of the reasons why there are, failures, there are system collapses. This is one of the reasons why you are not getting enough, I'm not getting enough. This is one of the reasons why, even up to this moment, we are complaining about the high rate of, the tariff coming up very high. So, and I'm telling you that even as it were, Nigeria is presently doing some, is still supplying some neighboring African countries, even though we seem not to have enough. The main problem is our transmission infrastructure. When we generate so much and we can't wheel it out, we can't get it across, through you have the generation on this side, you have the transmission here, and then you have the distribution, which is you and I, every one of us all over the places. But the point is, there is a lacuna in between. There is a problem, the gap in between. That is the transmission infrastructure. That infrastructure is, there's a lot of upgrading that needs to be done there, because what we are generating cannot get to there's even another issue with the distribution, because some of the distribution infrastructure have been installed, some of them 15, 20, 25 years ago. What is supposed to be, rehabilitated about every 7 years, max. But here we have system on ground that we are expecting to still be working for us 25, 30 years after they have been installed. So that issue is also there. But when we now talk about the frequent grid collapses, there's the issue of under frequency, there is issue of over frequency, there's also the issue of under supply of the power itself. There's also another issue of oversupply. So the system is in a particular equilibrium, such that when the frequency that is supposed to be at the generating point is lower than what is supposed to have, you have grid collapse. It is set in such a way that it will naturally just come down. That's when you have a collapse. If it is above this, the template of the frequency as well, it's going to come down. The same thing with the power. And so, let me confess to us, there is a whole lot of investment that we still need to, put into the powers, the energy sector in the country, particularly about electricity. Unfortunately, a whole lot has been done in the time past, but we seem not to be having the result on ground. As far where are these? We can hear stories about $16 billion. You can hear, but we seem not to be having it on ground here and there for us to see. For us to get it right, even in the next 20 years, about $100 billion is required, to pump. I'm talking of USD, to be pumped into that system. And that is why right now the Honorable Minister of Power, I understand, is because our own institution, also the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, we are in some level of partnership with the Federal Ministry of Power. We are having talks with them. We are even still engaging them the more. We are very much aware that they are engaging in a lot of projects now in the transmission side. So if you even generate a whole lot and you don't have the transmission, backbone to wheel it out, to get to the distribution hand, to you and I, to the consumers, there are always going to be issues. And probably we can talk about the cost later on, talking about the tariff, talking about, the rates being very high now, and so on and so forth. But maybe I should just pause there for now. Thank you.
Okay, but I would even like to ask you this question. Do you think that perhaps it might be too soon to remove subsidy completely on electricity, like the Minister of Power promised that we should be expecting in coming years?
See, as it were right now, the subsidy has been removed already. I mean, you hear of people in band A, and you have of people in band B, in band C, and so on and so forth. For me, I will seriously say that that's banding, putting people in band so and so and so is some form of discrimination. I mean, energy discrimination, if you want to ask me, because energy is not a privilege. It's a right. It's something everyone needs. So nobody is supposed to be in a particular band, another person in another band. Everybody should have access to this energy. So when you talk about subsidy, by the reason of what the government has done presently, the subsidy is gone, really. But let's also look at it in some other climate. I told you just now that about $100 billion is required as investment in this sector to get it right, to take us to where we are supposed to be. In some other climes where they have it right, where everything is working and working perfectly, they have pumped a whole lot, talking about investment, into that system over the years. And so, let me share this with you. I have a friend who is in, let me just say, in the United States of America, and he came around to Nigeria several years back with some of his friends. And the main purpose of coming around is to invest in the energy sector. I mean, some people they might call me the devil's advocate for what I want to say, but I think we just need to hear it out. Now, they came around and they start engaging, the disco, they started engaging the Federal Ministry of Power and so on and so on. By the time they moved around, these guys discovered that no, it is not possible for them to invest in the energy sector in Nigeria, electricity power sector in Nigeria, the way it is presently constituted, because they are not going to have return on investment. I'm just saying this is the bitter truth of what happened. They will not have return on investment. They have to go back, because there is what we are paying, basically, honestly, is not a cost-reflective tariff. And so what the government is trying to do, I'm still going to come back to what the government is also trying to do now. What the government is trying to do now is to ensure that, yes, we have the cost-reflective tariff, so that the sector will be, appealing to investors all over the world, not just around us here. Everyone will be able to, so that you can have FDI, you can have a lot of foreign direct investment, people coming over here. But the point is this, for me, I think it's like putting, the cart before the horse. The horse is supposed to drive the cart. The very first thing we are supposed to do is to get the infrastructure right, is to get to ensure that the power is available and very much available, not putting some people in band A, some people in band Z, and then it will now look as if, for me, that's discriminatory. Everybody is entitled to, as long as you can pay for it. So that takes me to the issue of subsidy. Yes, government was subsidizing, but the way it is presently with people in band A and, paying 225, I would say, to some extent, the subsidy is gone. But the question is this. In other climes, even if we talk about Europe, talk about America, the governments over there, they are doing a lot of subsidy I mean, they are paying a lot of subsidy to ensure that power is available. Because if power is available, the industries are going to run. There is going to be natural employment for a lot of people. And then the economy will naturally pick up. The economy will be exactly where it's supposed to be. So those that are subsidizing power, they know what they are doing. But for us here, it seems as if we're in a hurry to get there. I mean, you need to learn how to walk before you get to the point of running. It's a matter of sequence, but we are not getting it right in that manner. But the point really is this. And this is why I said I want to try to play the devil's advocate. With some people might call for my head. The point is this. I did a little bit of study, and I discovered that the per kilowatt energy, the per kilowatt cost of energy in the United Kingdom, as at today, is 27 pence. When I converted that, that's 403 naira, 403 naira, 27 pence. Now, even the people in Band A, presently that we are talking about, is 225 naira. Can you benchmark that? See, yeah, I may not be completely right in that analysis, in that comparative analysis, because there are a whole lot of things over there that are available. There's so much available over there when you talk about the socio-economic ecosystem there and so on and so forth. There's a whole lot. When you talk about the minimum wage and so on and so forth. But the point is this, really, if you want to be very factual, what we are doing presently, what we are doing presently is not a completely cost-reflective tariff. But of course, the government and our people in the service, that are service provider, must also be ready to give service-reflective, service-friendly. How do I put it now? They should be ready to give service that is friendly to the consumers. It's not just about the cost alone. Let's have the power. What some of us actually pay to run individual power for ourselves, whether through diesel, whether even those. I have somebody that it's been off grid for about 15 years, and the powers everything is out. But of course, there's a lot of investment. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Even if you go to the solar panels, the charge controllers, to talk about the batteries and so on and so forth. I bought battery recently. I know what it is. It's very, very expensive. But then, if you have value for what you are paying for, you are not going to be complaining about a very high tariff. Let's have the power. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate your contributions on the show.